And a good day to you, Explorer Nation. John Lynskey here with another edition of Looking Back with Lynskey, episode 3 of season 4. And this is going to be special because once again, I am joined by the venerable one, the icon of Columbus High School, two-time Hall of Famer, future mayor of Westchester, ambassador of goodwill from Arbetter's Hot Dog Stand, the first alumni teacher ever hired at Columbus. Without him, where would we be? I don't want to know. So please welcome to the show, Dr. E. Carter Burrus, Jr. from the great class of 1962. Dr. Burrus, good morning.
Well, thank you. And that was a very humbling introduction. I do not feel worthy. And to all our viewers out there, glad to be here.
And that's exactly why you're going to be the future mayor of Westchester right there. Always, always a politician. Speaking of that, I don't know how politically correct we're going to be today because popular demand, overwhelming popular demand, has literally demanded that we do an episode called Rumor Has It.
Rumors, I like rumors.
Well, it was a great album by Fleetwood Mac as well. But the point is, there are so many urban myths and legends, many of which revolve around you, that in every rumor, in every myth, in every legend, there is an element of truth. And so our objective today is to get to the truth, maybe not the whole truth to protect the innocent and or the guilty, but to set the record straight as best as we possibly can. So if you're ready, I'm ready for Rumor Has It. What do you say, sir?
I will give you and stay with the truth as closely as I can, as much as I remember. Remember, I'm not as young as I used to be.
Class of 1962. Yes, it's been a few years.
And for those out there that had Mr. Roach's math class, you can do the math. I was 18 when I graduated, 1962. This is 2022. You can figure out how old I am.
Yeah, it's a little disconcerting, but be that as it may, the best is yet to come, Dr. Burrus. So
I hope so.
I think so. So here we go. Dr. Burrus, rumor has it that when Columbus High School opened, we were literally on the edge of the Everglades. And rumor has it there was an abundance of wildlife at Columbus High School that has not been seen in many a year. Can you either confirm or deny the wildlife at the first Columbus High School?
Well, I can confirm that. I came here in 1959 from St. Teresa. I'm a Musketeer. The first class had already graduated. The Maris brothers and I came here together. There was no ninth grade in the beginning. There was no gym. And there was no field behind the gym where the field is today. It was a forest. It was wild. It had bobcats, wolves, coyotes, armadillos, and assorted other Westchester type of animals. And as they built the gym, we watched them build that gym. And then they said, okay, now we have to have a football field, because up until then, our football field was get on 87th Avenue, 2 lanes, hitchhike with your uniform on, or drive, or steal Mike Dean's motor scooter, and go down to this cow pasture with cows in it, real cows and cow patties, and practice football. And then going into my junior year, they said, well, okay, we're going to do a field. And now we're going to use you as labor. This was Burma Road right over here. And they went out and they leveled it, didn't put any topsoil on it, and just said, now plant grass. And this was going to be our field. But there were snakes and bobcats and raccoons and foxes and assorted other Westchester animals.
Wolves. I like the wolves, you know.
Yeah, unique to Westchester. There are breeds of animals that aren't found anywhere else other than Westchester.
And of course, the descendants of those foxes still roam the halls occasionally at Columbus to this very day.
I understand that. Brother Herb has confirmed this.
And Paul speaks to the foxes every morning. Paul is a fox speaker, a fox whisperer.
I see that.
Dr. Burrus, rumor has it that the old oak tree in the east end zone, the Carter Burrus perpetual oak, actually, was at one time a place for shenanigans for Columbus students. Can you either confirm or deny that shenanigans would occur by the oak tree?
Now, the word shenanigan is a very interesting word, John. And by that, you mean, well, during the football games back in the late 70s, early 60s through the 60s, we would have bonfires before the homecoming games. And we would build a bonfire out there. And of course, the oak tree was next to it. And, you know, if there were a blanket or two laid out by there to watch the bonfire and watch a rock and roll show, I mean, who knows what went on out there? But it was a beautiful setting, and it was a wonderful thing to be part of.
By the old oak tree, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. This one came up the other day. Rumor has it that in your senior year of football, you were playing our rivals down 87th there, the Southwest Eagles, and Hall of Fame coach Don Solinger of Southridge and UM acclaim was your opponent, and you actually knocked out his tooth with your helmet. Can you either confirm or deny that, Dr. Burrus?
Well, I can tell you that Don Solinger is a friend of mine. He graduated from Southwest the same year I did. And Southwest happened to be a very, very good team in the early years. Today, they've fallen on hard times, but back then they were very competitive. And they beat the snot out of us, including that year. But that was a pretty good running back. Our whole backfield got hurt in the first game, so I did a wildcat single wing. You know, I was a tackle. They said, okay, you're pretty fast, the fastest guy in the team, so we're just going to hike the ball to you, and we'll design several plays running up the middle. And they said, even if your own player is in the way, run them over, which I did. So Don Solinger was a defensive tackle, and I did on a dive play. That's a football expression, drive right through the line. And he went to tackle me during the first quarter, and he just laid there. He was out. He was finished. And they came and took him off the field. And of course, you know, being a Columbus Marist that I was, I went over and, you know, looked at him and saw they took him off. And while I was looking down at him, they took off his helmet. His tooth was laying there. And I picked it up and I said, this is great. And I took it over to the sidelines and put it by the bench to save it. And they took him off. He never came to until the end of the game. And that was the end of his football career. And this guy was an all Gold Coast Conference, which is the conference we played in, defensive tackle. And his mother just said, that's it for you, Donnie boy. You're not playing anymore. And he went on to become one of the greatest football coaches of any level of all times.
No doubt.
And a great human being too.
So yes, I mean, what he did at Southridge and UM was epic. The question is, did you ever return his tooth?
No, I never did. But I have apologized to him on several occasions. And this year, we're going to have my 20th high school reunion. He and his wife are coming to the reunion, even though they didn't graduate from Columbus, as my guest. And we will sit and reminisce about some of these rivalries that we had between Southwest and Columbus. They were, as a matter of fact, Southwest, they had gymnastics in high school then. They were a leader in gymnastics, track and field. They were a leader in that. They've always been good in baseball, still are. Wrestling. They didn't have any wrestling back then, but that was a real powerhouse. One of the first schools anywhere in the state that took advantage of weight training. And they were in the weight training and starting in 1960, I mean, heavy weight training. And they had such all-time greats as Rick Dobbs, whose son graduated from Columbus, Ron Pascarella, who set every kind of discus record there were at the time, collegiate and high school. But no relation to the Pascarellas at Frankie's, though, although they all went to Southwest. I want to straighten that out.
Speaking of weightlifting, rumor has it that you held the school bench press record for about 20 some odd years. True or false?
Yes, I did. And the weight was 245. We didn't have any weights here. We brought our own weights. We kept them underneath the stage in the cafeteria. There's like a little trolls that live underneath there. And we would keep our weights there. And I did hold that record. And then when we started the bench press contest, when I left coaching football and had the intramural bench press contest, it was broken in 1985 by I think Adam Lambden and Terry Palmer. They went into 365s, but it was eventually broken in 1990 by a gentleman weighed 170 pounds, Jose Alvarado. His son graduated from here, and he did 385, and I witnessed it. Now, I went away for 20 years, from 1991 to 2011. If anybody did anything in between there, but I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, Jose Alvarado, 1990, 385 pounds. That's a pretty good lift for
that's a lot of weight. Well, rumor has it, Dr. Burrus, that on your better days, you can still bench 275. True or false?
A few months ago, I did do that, which is unique, which is unusual, not only for the age, but the 2 shoulder replacements. That really is the factor right there.
Yeah. Do not attempt this at home. Yes. No, normal people should not do that. Rumor has it, Dr. Burrus, there was intramural boxing at Columbus High School. True or false?
There was. It was back in the 63s. They would go into the gym. They had a ring set up, and it was quite competitive. And there's pictures of it in the 63 yearbook. And I have all the yearbooks from the very beginning of the school till right now, and there are pictures of it in there.
Well, that's pretty interesting. Speaking of clubs, why don't we stay on that topic? Rumor has it there was a rifle club at Columbus High School. True or false?
That is correct. The Rifle Club of 1959, the first graduating class. In the yearbook, there is Jimmy Ellison holding his rifle right in there with a bunch of people. They all have their ties and coats on, and they're explaining and talking about this. Remember, Bird Road only went up to where the turnpike is, and from there on out, it was dirt. So it didn't take much further to go if you wanted to go out hunting and shooting or just mayhem out there with a rifle.
Mayhem. Yeah, protect yourself from mayhem. So you could bring your favorite M1 to school that your father used in the Battle of the Bulge and then go out and hunt bobcats if you wanted.
Well, it was a club, and we weren't walking around up on the hallways with rifles or anything, but the Rifle Club certainly brought it to school in a case, of course.
Of course. Rumor has it, and this needs to be clarified, Dr. Burrus, the Wheel Club. Now, the Wheel Club, in theory, was a service club, but it seems to me, rumor has it anyway, that the Wheel Club was just Fight Club before there was Fight Club, and all members of the Wheel Club were genetically predisposed to violence at a given moment. True or false?
I would say you're false on that.
Okay.
The Wheel Club, like many other clubs, had legitimate sponsors. The Rotary Club and the Key Club was sponsored by the Kiwanis, and the Interact Club was sponsored by the Lions Club, and we did civic duties. Like one thing, for example, we would go pick up trash around the school.
Teachers, please pardon this interrupt.
And even in the cafeteria, we had trays. We would take the trays down and clean the trays in the cafeteria for Mrs. Thomas. I know you remember her from the cafeteria.
Very well, of course.
And so we did a lot of legitimate things, but we were organized as a civic organization. Now, that was 1963. As the years went on, as your late uncle knows, Uncle Paul, it sort of morphed as everything did in Dade County. These clubs were not just at Columbus. They were at Southwest, they were Miami High, Gables, and they turned into a little bit more active organizations. By active, I mean they would interact with each other in maybe a not so kind way. As a matter of fact, all these clubs had their own handshake, their own special handshake, which I still know my Wheel Club handshake. And we had our own horn signal where you could go by somebody's house, you want to salute them, and you would hit a certain horn honk and they would be saluted. Now, little known fact, you could insult somebody by doing their horn honk, which I knew, and then right after the horn honk, hit 2 long honks, bop, bop. You say bop, bop to somebody, it's on. It's on. We got to get it. And that happened by myself. You break up with a girlfriend, she drives by your house, puts on your club sign, bop, bop. Oh, we gotta avenge this. By the way, there were girls sorority clubs also.
I can't imagine a young lady breaking up with you, Dr. Burrus, but rumor has it,
Yes.
as many teenage boys did, you gave a young lady your Letterman's jacket and then you never got it back. True or false?
And high school ring.
Oh my.
Just for the people listening to this, just let your mind go back to 18 years old. And when you're 18 years old, you don't think like a rational human being. The frontal cortex of the mind is not fully developed. And especially if you get a young lady that just sachets up to you and says, oh, can I wear your jacket so I can show my girlfriends? I don't think so. And the closer she gets, the weaker you become. Every little girl knows how to do this. And as they get older, they refine it. And so my girlfriend was very refined. So she had the jacket, she had the ring, and I never got it back. It's okay. It's okay. It's over. I'm over it now.
Well, yeah, it's been a while. Yes. But that's interesting.
I do have her picture up in my office, though.
I have some questions about some of the photos in your office, by the way. Rumor has it, Dr. Burrus, there was once a senior smoking lounge at Columbus High School.
That is correct. It's where the chapel is located today. That was a senior smoking lounge that had a pool table and had a ping pong table, and only seniors were allowed in there. Smoking was okay, only there. Teachers could smoke anywhere, in the classrooms, walking down the hallways. I never went in the smoking lounge because I don't like smoke of any type, still to this day. Okay. But if you were an underclassman and you happen to walk by that senior smoking lounge, you could get drug in there and shuffled around a little bit and thrown out like something you would see in a Cheech and Chong movie. So they try to avoid that as much as they could, the underclassmen.
Yes, shuffled around. I like that. That is very clever. And to confirm what you just said, teachers did smoke in class. At one point, I had my hair used as an ashtray, which was disconcerting.
It could be.
It could be. So, Dr. Burrus, over what I believe is your left shoulder is a picture of the milk truck.
Yes.
Rumor has it that you took a milk truck all the way across the country, including an excursion up to visit then brother Mike Dean, your classmate, later.
That's correct.
Legendary Columbus English teacher and coach. So rumor has it you actually did this.
We did do that. We bought the truck for $100 one summer while we were working as garbage collectors for Coral Gables. And by the way, Coral Gables, when you collect garbage in Coral Gables, they have really nice garbage. I mean, they throw some really good stuff out. And so we went by the corner of Coral Way and Red Road, and there was a milk truck for $100 for sale. And we thought it would be jolly fun. I said that because of the Queen. Jolly fun to go get this milk truck and just drive it around. So we cleared out the back and made it one big mattress. Can you imagine going up to a girl's house and picking her up? The father comes out to check you out and he sees a milk truck and saying, hey, what is this? Opens the back and sees the whole back end of mattress. I don't think you're going out this week. But we would go to bonfires on Key Biscayne and do all kinds of things with it. When I went away to college, that's when we formulated the idea. The milk truck went to the University of Florida. We met up in that summer of '65 and traveled all around the northeastern part of the United States and in North Carolina and Canada, visiting our college friends that went to Columbus with us. It was a total Columbus trip, including the Marist brothers at Marist College in beautiful Poughkeepsie, New York, and stayed with them for a week.
Scenic, yes.
Beautiful.
Including brother Mike Dean.
Including brother Mike Dean. and Brother Yu, who would later on become principal here.
Yes, yes.
A Brother Edmund, who was my inspiration to become a history teacher, he's passed away now, and several other brothers. Brother Declan, who taught here, he's passed away. But it was great visiting the brothers and seeing. We'd hear about this Marist. What is this place? So we went up there, but here's something unusual. When we pulled into the town, we knew it was in Poughkeepsie. We asked someone where the college was, and they sent us over to this other college. We didn't know this at the time. Vassar College, an all-female school.
Yes.
Very prestigious, was there. We pulled into Vassar. We're looking at each other saying, and we see nothing but these beautiful prepped out girls. And we said, oh man, these brothers got it going on here. Look at this. This is really sharp. And so we went into the front office and asked them about it. And they were bewildered. They didn't know what we were talking about. And they said, are you looking for Marist? Yes. Isn't this it? No, this is Vassar. Okay. So we had an Ivy League encounter. We went to the cafeteria and had lunch. We were there visiting somebody. That was our MO. We would go to different schools and take showers in their dorms. We didn't do that at Vassar. And go over to different places and have lunch and hang out with them. But then we went in there and they wrote a big article about it in the Poughkeepsie Journal, which I still have a copy of today.
That is awesome. I don't even want to imagine that. That's something.
That was one of the experiences of my lifetime. There's certain things that will happen in your lifetime, I know yours, that happened that you will remember for the rest of your life. That was one.
So this is not a rumor. This is a fact. You're having some technical issues there, sir.
Yeah, we're going to be okay. Go on.
Okay. It's a fact. You were the first alumni teacher at Columbus High School.
That's right.
And that trend, it changed the trajectory of Columbus High School. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you already know, everybody knows this. You're the reason I became a teacher. But rumor has it, when you taught world cultures in ninth grade, you would have your students write letters to all the embassies around the world, including some rather disreputable nations.
Yes.
Is this true or false?
That is completely true. And that got me into a little trouble too.
Define trouble, Dr. Burrus.
Okay. Well, I said, you can write to any country you want. And I had a little book that had the address at the United Nations of every single country in the world. Okay. That's great. What's this PLL, Palestine Liberation Organization? I said, why don't you write to them? Okay, what about Red China, Communist China, which we had no relationship with until Nixon?
No.
What about the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic? Can I write to them? Sure, let's go ahead and do that. Now, at this period, this is the early 70s, when these things, and we're talking about, we have some really good Cuban families here who had just come over from Cuba, and this was fresh in their mind. And so when you get all of a sudden something from communist China and you get something from the Soviet Union, you can imagine the parents were wondering, what is going on over at Columbus? And of course, we had to explain this to them, but the packages, a lot of them, the material was total propaganda, which was a great learning experience, were all opened by the FBI. And I was even interviewed here at Columbus by the FBI. They came in, two guys in suits with bulges in their pocket, if you know what I mean, and asked if they could speak with me. And the students all looking, are you having communications with the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic? Oh, yeah, okay. What about Red China? What about the Palestine Liberation Organization? And the students would have to get up and give a report and talk about, whether it was propaganda, which it always was. And but the students, I think, got something really, really nice out of it. And one of the students was even invited to New York because they were so interested that somebody would even care about and write a letter. Some of these little countries that you never even think of.
Who got invited to New York? By what country or organization?
This was the Palestine Liberation Organization, which is a nefarious organization. by some, a liberating organization by others. This is the
Mm.
kind of thing we spoke about.
Yeah.
And his parents said, "Is it okay to go to that?" And I said, "Well, if they invite him and you authorize them to go." And they went up, they flew him up to New York, and they took him out to lunch at the United Nations and showed him all around the United Nations building, which was an experience that I don't
Yeah.
remember the kid's name, but that was a great experience.
But, Dr. Burrus, being invited out to lunch by the PLO, that's like being asked to go trick or treating with Freddy Krueger or something. I don't know if that's a good idea.
Well, they were on the up and up there. They were a representative. There still are at the United Nations, not a voting member, but they are represented at the United Nations.
Okay.
And so I, tried to keep the classes as open as possible. Like, for example, during the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And you were in the class.
Yeah.
We taught about Vietnam, and we tried to give both sides of that story so that the students could make their own decisions and on that issue. And I don't remember what your opinion was, but if the students all had different opinions, like, I don't like this war, I do like this war. And then we went and looked at all the reasons that the government gave for being there and other reasons why we shouldn't be there. And it made it, it was quite an active time for history and political science, as you remember.
It was a very active time. For the record, I actually wrote a letter to the Soviet Union asking for an autographed picture of Nikita Khrushchev, but I never got a response. I think Nikita was,
that would have been great.
Persona non grata at that point in the Soviet Union.
You know what? One of the greatest, two things happened.
Okay.
People that read China asked for Mao's Little Red Book.
Little Red Book, yes.
I would tell them about it. They would get a copy of Mao's Little Red Book. Muammar Gaddafi wrote a Little Green Book. There were people writing to Libya, and they got the Little Green Book. Now, can you imagine as a prop in class? And I think I gave my Little Red Book when I left here in 2011 to Mr. O'Brien. I don't know whether he still got it.
I believe he does. I mean, he's not going to let something like that go.
Oh, Mao's Little Red Book?
Come on now. Now, the other class that you were just so well known for, Florida history. Rumor has it you used to send students out on field trips on their own to learn about Florida history.
First, let me tell you, they had to get a waiver signed by their parents that they were authorized.
Okay. Waivers are important, yeah.
Yeah, and so one of the more memorable ones was the great Alonzo Highsmith from the class of '83.
Yes.
He had trouble coming up with a project. Matter of fact, he had trouble working on his classwork. So I'm going to help him along. Let's go out and do something on the Miccosukee Indians. Well, he was so enthralled by going out there, and he liked so much what he saw and they were impressed with him. Imagine who wouldn't be impressed with him, that they wanted to make him a member of the tribe. And to this day, if you ever see Alonzo Highsmith, he has a Indian tribal tattoo all across his massive arm.
No, that is a fact, because I saw Al's tattoo. So they actually wanted to make him an honorary member of the tribe.
No, a real member of the tribe.
A real member of the tribe.
Yes, they really liked him, and he liked them.
That's an honor.
But I can tell you that sometimes it had some unusual twists. Okay, we're going to send you up to see the Flagler Museum in beautiful Palm Beach, and go up and see the Flagler Museum, Henry Flagler's house. And then another group, okay, well, we're going to go up there and we're going to take pictures of that. And then we're also going to go by the Kennedy estate compound right there on the beach.
Yes.
Okay, go take pictures of it, come back. Okay, all of a sudden they come back, and back then we were showing slides. We aren't even at the movie yet. This is early 70s. We're showing slides, and all of a sudden, and they would show little different kinds of slides sometimes. And then all of a sudden, here was a police profile of two of our students with, like this, like that. I said, "What is that?" "Well, remember how you told us you could take pictures of the compound? Well, we decided that we could jump over the fence inside the Kennedy compound and get some really good pictures." I said, you what? And they said, these people came over and they couldn't take a joke and they arrested us and took us down into the courthouse. And okay, of course, I had to speak with their parents about this. And the parents said, look, they violated the law. They're going to have to take care of it on their own. And they did. And they wrote it off as a high school prank and, let them out. But we did have a few little episodes like that, but nothing serious.
That's a life lesson right there. Don't climb the fence.
Any compound.
Yeah, not to the compound. And rumor has it that many of your students would take canoe trips on the Peace River.
Yes,
True or false?
Yes, they did. Not only the Peace River, but I think it was on the Peace River. Mark Bonacani did this once down on the Estero River with a group of people. And Mark wasn't the greatest, but he high school student, but he embraced this. So they all got on a canoe trip, and I'm looking, and they're canoeing down, and they're going to go to this island on Estero Bay called Mound Key, where the legendary Calusa chief Carlos first saw the white Europeans for the first time and encountered them. And so they're going to go over to this island. They're going to camp on it. You're not supposed to camp on it. I told them that. But they camped out anyway. And so then when the ranger came, they tried to bribe the rangers. No, that's not going to work. So they went back. And then all of a sudden, they're going to make – now we're into films. Mark's in the 80s. Okay, so now we're going to do a film. So all of a sudden, the canoe's going along, and there are 5 naked people standing on the banks. Those are our students. The other people in the canoes are taking pictures of them saying, look, there's naked natives up there. Can you believe this? And of course, we had to edit this out. Some of these I've saved. Some of these I've still saved.
I see.
Probably one of my favorite ones, and Mark still remembers this today. He loves this. Was when I sent a group of people down to Key West, which is always a little sketchy, to go interview Captain Tony in Captain Tony's bar.
Yes.
And they interviewed him, and he told them all about how he discovered Jimmy Buffett and all the things that went along with it. So I saved that one. That was a great one. Captain Tony.
Yes, a legend, the legendary Captain Tony. Dr. Burrus, rumor has it that in the late 70s, early 80s, right at the main entrance of the school where you come in, where Coach Dunn, Mr. Linfors, and myself would stand in the mornings, there was a grassy area known as Trans Am Alley. Can you confirm or deny that?
Well, that really did take place. And what happened was Trans Ams were very popular then. I'm not going to use names in this episode. Right here.
No names.
We thought it would be a good idea because there's so many Trans Ams and you were allowed to leave for lunch. So all the Trans Ams would back in. And I mean, there were 50 or 60 of them. You can imagine our parking lot. And during lunch, they would all race down. This was like the 24 hours of Le Mans. They would race down, run down to Arbetters, get their hot dogs, and get back in a half an hour. I don't know how they did it. So we figured this is so cool. We're going to get all Trans Ams and take a picture for the yearbook. All right, I assigned a person, one particular person, unnamed, is going to go out there and guard and only let Trans Ams back in there so we can get a picture from up on the second floor of the yearbook. Some guy pulled in a Volkswagen and said, I'm going to park here. I have every right to, I can be here. And he was summarily removed along with his car from Trans Am Island. And this caused a little commotion in there, which, we got through it. Hopefully everybody got through it, but we did get our picture of Trans Am Island. And if you come up here and look at a 1980s yearbook, you'll see Trans Am Island.
Trans Am Island. Yeah, Dr. Burrus, I think in this case, your choice of the person to supervise Trans Am Island, I think that's on you, sir. I think you might have shown a momentary lapse of reason there.
I absolutely have to agree, but I had good intentions, and so did the perpetrator of this whole episode have good intentions. And everybody's all friendly now, and it turned out everything okay, and no harm, no foul.
I think there
was a foul. There was like a 3-month detention, I think, on the perpetrator.
Yes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah, I agree.
Dr. Burrus, but this particular individual, I believe, has found God in his life now, and he's repented. So that's a great thing.
And one of the true great sons of Westchester. I absolutely, to this day, is one of my favorite people of all times. All the parties involved.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. It's funny, the evolution of Columbus students. Speaking of the evolution of Columbus students, you and I have seen them over the years, the brilliant, the not so brilliant, the not yet smart. Is there any individual or individuals that just totally surprised you by how successful they became later in life?
As a matter of fact, I was up at Arbetter's, one of my fine dining spots here in Westchester. And
yeah, the ambassador of friendship from Arbetter. That's you. Yes.
I recommend it to anybody. And I was up there with this one particular individual. You think we could use his name, Mr. Lynskey?
I think so. Yes. Yes.
All right. His name was Adam Lambden. And this guy in high school, he played football and he was a bodybuilder. I mean, this guy was pumped up. I mean, this guy had some muscles here. He still does. And so Adam, and he won the weightlifting contest too, and he broke my record at one time. But in high school, you would not figure him for being a scholarly person, not even carrying the books of the scholarly person. He was an outlaw, and he was a menace and a terror. Not so much to the students, to the teachers, and so he was irreverent in every aspect. So I stayed in touch with him. He went up to the University of Florida, same thing up there. And he ran a weightlifting contest, and he did a lot of the things I did here. And you would say, well, what's going to happen to Adam? I don't know. Well, he ended up becoming CEO of the Assurance Corporation, which you see if you go down to Cutler Bay. And this is a worldwide insurance company. Very successful, still to this day is very successful, and a bit mellower, a bit milder, but still has that little touch of irreverence. But it's not like an in-your-face irreverence. It's sort of like, okay, I'm sticking you with a knife right now. How does it feel? Not like I'm stabbing you now. And so but you'll see him around town, and he's still one of my favorite people of all times, the great Adam Lambden.
That is wonderful, Dr. Burrus. Now, this is a philosophical question.
Yeah.
More or less. Rumor has it that the kids of today have changed from the kids back then. Is that true or false, or do you think maybe perhaps just the rules have changed?
Well, I think society has changed.
Yeah.
And I think if you took some of these students and put them back in that period of time, they would be as renegade as your brother and the people I hung out with. They would be the same kind of people. But society is different now, and those people that we mentioned have adapted to the society, and even today. But you can tell just underneath the surface, where they came from. These students here never had a chance to go through that transition. And so they're here in this environment. But I must say one thing. This is one thing that endeared me to the Marist brothers from the very beginning. We take everybody. Marshland, love them all from the lowest to the highest. And Columbus does that. Brother Kevin, people said, no, let's make it all like, I'm going to use the word Berlin, the B word. We're going to make it all like Berlin, this one superior level. No, we've all got our superior level, but we have every segment stratification in between. And I've 1,000 times seen those people starting out in the lower levels, work their way up, and later on in life become very successful and happy with whatever they choose to do. And that's what makes this school so great. That's what endears us all to each other.
And Dr. Burrus, you are the link in the chain that has allowed us to continue, and we've come full circle. Here you are 60 years later, still preaching the religion of Columbus High School. And thank you so much, for everything you've done, but also thank you for the clarification of some rumors today. And I think you set the record straight in a lot of ways. Now, eventually, of course, there will be an unedited version of this for certain people, but I think today we accomplished our goal, and I thank you very much.
I think we did, and there's a lot of more stories, and you have a lot of stories also from your eras when you were here, starting in the early '90s, going all the way up. Remember, I was gone for 20 years, but those early years, this was a rough and tumble school, and you had to be a manly man to get through. And but the kids, everybody survived, and everybody became successful. Not everybody, but most everybody. But they all became Columbus guys, and and that stays with you.
I couldn't agree more. And once again, on behalf of every member of Explorer Nation, thank you for being the trailblazer that you were and continue to be. And I enjoyed today very much, my friend.
Okay.
All right, Explorer Nation, the venerable one, Dr. E. Carter Burrus Jr. I hope you enjoyed Rumor Has It. And we're going to be back again soon, and you just never know who's going to show up on Looking Back with Lynskey. You never know, Doctor. So until next time, Explorer Nation, on behalf of Dr. Burrus and myself and Melissa Marty, who makes all this happen, take it easy and adelante.